welcome everybody to Open House, the open panel, where we have three organisations with open in the title, and we're going to talk about what open means in the data centre and how we're going to get there. I shall introduce them quickly and then ask them to say a little bit about themselves. Having reminded you to keep your phones on silent, but keep them on so you can keep interacting with our marvellous app. So, from the left, they're in a different order down here. Gabe Cole from OpenIX, and Cole Crawford from Open Compute, and Mark McLoughlin from OpenStack. Those are their organisational allegiances. They all have day jobs as well. So, off you go.
Thank you. So I'm Gabe Cole. I chair the data center subcommittee for OpenIX. And my day job is I run a company called RTE Group, which is a data center consultancy which helps companies find either locations, property, buildings for data centers, and have been doing that in various variants of it over the last 20 years. And I've always been kind of a proponent that the network is the most important part of a data center, that you can have the finest data center in the world, but if you don't have it properly connected to the world, it's kind of irrelevant. And that's a big part of where OpenIX has come from. What we do is we set standards for exchange points and data centers that house exchange points. And the idea is to promote more exchange of data in population centers, what we might call the edge of the network, where people live and use their mobile devices, use their internet at home and at work. But we want to make that traffic exchange very close to them, so it provides for advanced services and better quality of service, and really creates a runway for the internet to grow without snags.
Okay, thank you. We're glad you're there. And Gabe
Cole. We just completed his full name.
I knew I was going to do that. Right, that's Gabe, that's Cole. Cole Crawford.
Thank you.
Open Compute. Was I right about the day job, or are you actually full-time?
This is my day job, right? So
wow.
I'm the unconflicted guy here.
Yeah. If standards bodies are like, rock bands, you're the one who's managed to give up the day job and
it's
go
true.
Full-time on the road.
Full-time, and contrary to a lot of questions that I get, I've never been a Facebook employee. So work very closely with Facebook, but we work very closely with a number of other companies as well. So Open Compute, as many of you know, was started by Facebook in 2011 as an open source hardware nonprofit, a 501c6, exactly like OpenStack, where we're trying to bring the principles of open source software into the hardware space. And that's been very challenging in the data center, specifically because open source licenses generally refer to intellectual property at the copyright level. There's never been a really great license in open source for patents that reference patent law. So the Open Compute Foundation is heads down, completely focused on bringing those same 4 or 5, if you are a fan of Apache, freedoms into the data center space at the hardware level.
Right, open source for hardware. And Mark, OpenStack.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mark McLoughlin. I'm on the OpenStack Foundation Board of Directors, and I'm one of the, lead code contributors to the project over the past few years. My day job is now technical director for OpenStack at Red Hat, which means I'm going to be doing a lot less coding, unfortunately. But yeah, I guess what we're trying to achieve in OpenStack is build, an open source cloud computing platform. At its core, implementing an open source version of the elastic compute infrastructure model that Amazon pioneered with EC2, but we're really kind of building a much broader kind of platform and ecosystem of projects in the cloud space. And I think one of the things that I'm most proud of OpenStack having achieved is a really kind of massive, diverse, vibrant community of contributors to the project, to the extent now that we have over 500 individual contributors to the project every release. And I've been around open source for 10, 15 years now, and the kind of the level of diversity and contribution to this project is really quite unprecedented. So I think we've achieved a lot over the past 4 years, and we're now kind of moving into a phase of really proving that what we've built can kind of power the cloud data centers of the future, I guess.
Yep. A release of code every 6 months, and you're up to letter J.
Yes, indeed.
And you had a great time in Paris a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, 4,500 people in Paris. Great fun. It was good.
Okay, so I was wondering whether we start with the benefits of open, but I think we probably all agree on that. Or should we just quickly say what's the major benefit of open from the perspective of your organisation and from the order we did before?
Sure. So to us, open is really about transparency, visibility. So we are a standards organization. We're also a 501c6, and we produce 2 standards, one for the exchange and one for the data center. Those standards were developed through a consensus process. We as the committee kind of seeded the process. But then we put it out to our membership on our members list and got a lot of comments from many different parties and brought those all together. That's the same way we do our certification. So we put once we've reviewed the certifications and they're complete, they go out to the members, and the members comment on whether certification should be granted or not. So that's from an organizational perspective what it means. What it means as we get into kind of the implementation and what we expect and what we build into our memorandum of understanding that we execute with companies being certified is that they're also open, they're transparent, that they publish what their interconnection pricing is. We don't set the pricing. Pricing can be whatever they want it to be, but they need to publish the pricing for their standard elements, and that needs to be upfront, out in the open, and visible to people. They also need to be open to any network. Again, they don't have to let the network in for free. They can set pricing, but they must do that in what we call a FRAND, fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory fashion. So those are kind of the political, if you will, terms that we put out there. And we think that openness, that transparency, and that neutrality is key to protecting the internet as we move forward.
Right. So it's about lining people up and getting them to meet the same standards. Okay. What does open mean to you, Cole?
I think it means a lot to a lot of people. And in fact, there are some components of open that I really like, and there are other components of open that I actually don't like as much. It's a known fact that the best companies in the world are looking beyond their 4 walls for engineering resources and using a community as not just a litmus